Hey guys, the WalterFootball.com After the Dark Show for February 28, 2025. We're going to be looking at some NFL draft rumors and free agency rumors from the NFL Combine. A lot of them from Charlie, but also some from some other sources as well. So, going to talk about all of them. As you can see, I'm flying solo tonight. I'll definitely submit any questions you have. I'll answer anything as I'll as always do when I'm flying solo. I'll answer anything. So you don't have to worry about anyone getting canceled on here. Not that they can get canceled with me, but I still have some concerns about it. But anyway, before we begin, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As usual, I'm wearing one of our shirts, and yes, I wore this yesterday, but the shirt's too great to wear just one day. It's the money laundering shirt. It's one of my favorites. I know it's Kenny's favorite, who he's always on Wednesday, so he has one of his own. You can get one of your own too here at the merch store. We have a lot of new stuff in case you didn't see it yesterday. Here's the money laundering shirt, of course. And free Gruden, by the way. Nice to get vindicated. Great for Gruden to be restored in the Buccaneers Hall of Fame. That was nice to see. Good to be on the right side of history, right? Anyway, so we have, as far as new shirts are concerned, we have the Squirrels Lives Matter, which is always in risk of being removed. It's still up there, so you can get it while it lasts. It's 50% off, by the way. We have a mug here that says you cannot change the stripes of a leopard, which of course is Emmett's quote. And here is some guy with a paintbrush trying to change the stripes of a leopard. So would not recommend it, but you can get this mug. As you can see, I'm trying, I'll show you this as well. Actually, I don't know why we have two of these. Here we go. Hindsight's 50-50, this mug. That's the Cam Newton quote, and here someone's flipping a coin. So I had an idea to make these mugs of famous stupid sayings by NFL players. So I'm going to keep on doing them, and I'm going to look into having those custom shirts of what could have been players. Like for example, like Peyton Manning to the Chargers, or Ryan Leaf to the Colts, or Ricky Williams to the Eagles and stuff like that. I have to see. I have to ask my lawyer to see if that's okay. But that's like my next thing. We have a couple of new shirts here. 3 new shirts. Help a friend. This is Josh Allen Derangement Syndrome Awareness Month, because some people went crazy when Josh Allen won MVP, even though he was the favorite and he should have won. Because people are stupid. We have the shirt that says Dump Roger Goodell. As you see, it's you can see it's DEIL. It's funny how his name ends up that way, and it's Roger Goodell in a toilet. It looks a lot like him too. I think the art was pretty good here. And then Make Football American Again. I think this might be one of our new favorite shirts. I have not ordered these yet. I plan on doing so this weekend. So yeah, this is the new merch, and we're gonna have a lot more. So keep checking back. Just really appreciate you guys supporting us. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks of the College Years, where I made fun of people at Penn State because I was there for 6 years. Also, how the 2020 MVP was stolen. That is an expose I wrote about how Brett Favre tried to sabotage Aaron Rodgers. True story. And it's the genesis of the No Cookie Jordan Love nickname. So if you ever wondered about that, you can now read about it. Also, consider super chats, super stickers. You guys have been so helpful with that. It's really appreciate it, because YouTube ads pay nothing. I say that sincerely. They pay nothing. If we don't have a super chat, we make less than $1. So I'd have more success wandering around my neighborhood to pick up a change, which, by the way, is actually true. I walked outside my house the other day, and there was some change on my front lawn. I don't know where it came from. Maybe my wife dropped it, but there's a quarter and 2 dimes and a few pennies. Where did this come from? I don't understand. But yeah, so that picking up that change is as much as we make on YouTube ads here. So any super chats, super stickers would be great. Degeneron helped us lately. Also, John Sanders, Slew, the boss, Ken McEagle, Alan Stafford. You guys have been so great with your contributions. Just really appreciate it. Get me an Emmett mug. Yeah, for sure, Quacky. So looking forward to our show on Saturday, by the way. Can't wait for that. It's feels like it's been a while. It's only been about 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been longer than that for some reason. All right, okay, let's get to the stuff here. As I said before, drop any questions or anything. It doesn't have to be about football, or it could be about football. It doesn't have to be about this. Whatever you guys have in your mind, we'll talk about it tonight. So I'll probably go for an hour or so. So I don't know why this showed up twice. We'll go by we'll go by team here. Not every team is going to be featured. This is something new I added today. This rumors page. We usually have one. We usually have one every year during the spring. Ahead of free agency and then ahead of the draft, and also like ahead of day 2 of the draft. But we had some issues setting up this page because it kept going back to the 2024 page, but we finally figured it out, and so we're going live here. So anytime I see something new, I'm going to add it to here. So this link is going to be on the homepage as of tonight / tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to see it. But this, for some reason, this rumor appeared twice, so ignore the second one. Or ignore the first one if you want. Myles Garrett slammed the door on a contract this session for the Browns. That's Mary Kay Cabot reporting for the Cleveland.com. Mary, a friend of the site. She's a great reporter for Cleveland.com. Also, the Cleveland Plains Dealer, the newspaper. I'm not sure if that exists, but that's where she used to work. So Myles Garrett, of course, has been talking about a trade. He doesn't want to go back to Cleveland, and understandably so, because he's 29, and by the time the Browns are good, and able to make a playoff push, let's say they draft a quarterback this year, and he turns out to be good. I don't expect him to be Jane Daniels or anything, but like if he's like a Bo Nix type of player, like the Browns have a lot of issues, so I don't expect them to make the playoffs, especially in that tough division. And also they don't have Sean Payton coaching that quarterback up, but maybe in 2026 they can do it. Like Garrett's gonna be 31 by then, and he's gonna be staring down the second half of his career. And yet still, like, they're not gonna be a Super Bowl contender in 2026. Like they still have a lot of upgrades to make. So like it's 2027 at the bare minimum. And then he's 32 at that point. So like you can understand why he doesn't want to return to Cleveland. Just a losing organization. I know Joe Thomas was trying to talk him into it. Joe Thomas just one of the best tackles of our generation. But unfortunately, he just never had winning success with the Browns because that organization has been awful. And, I think like Garrett is hearing this from Joe Thomas, and he's like, get out of here. I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm not doing that in Cleveland. So I think he's the favorite to go to. I think Washington is the favorite to land him. It just makes so much sense because they play in the NFC. So I imagine the Browns want to trade him in the non-conference. And also they have the most cap space of any team in the NFC. And they have a need for an edge rusher. It makes all the sense in the world for him to go to Washington. And that's why I have been like a huge supporter of betting the Redskins at 23-1. That's available on FanDuel. I believe that's still available. Let me check. I don't want to be like talking out of my butt here. By the way, we have Russell Henley. Great day today. He's tied for second right now, so hopefully that continues. Let's check in on the Super Bowl odds. Let's see if they've changed it all for the Redskins. Niners down to 12-1, by the way. They're 24-1. Wow, they just keep moving up. I don't get this. I bet them at 20-1. I thought it was a great number because there was some 18-1s out there or 17-1s. And then I saw 23-1. I'm like, okay, so I bet it again, albeit it was a bonus bet. So it wasn't, I didn't exactly pay for it. That was 24-1. I may have to triple dip. I don't get this number. The Redskins are, I think, one of the best teams in the NFL already. And they could get Myles Garrett. They could get T. Higgins. They could get Lonnie Stanley. They could get Brandon Sheriff. They have all the money to spend. Now, if they squander this money in free agency and don't add anyone, then I'll feel salty about it and I'll try to cash out of my futures. But man, with $75 million, like how do you not spend a lot of it? And you have your rookie quarterback entering his second year. Like that's when you spend a lot of your money because they don't have to pay Jane Daniels for a while. So I love this number, 24-1. It seems pretty insane. Me too. I got some new material. Cracky says, I wonder what the odds will be for Denver to draft the tight end. I think you and Charlie nailed that analysis. Yeah. Oh, Cracky, by the way, I got your text today. I was so busy with the combine stuff. I didn't get to answer. You said, I believe you're like, you said I referred to Cameron Jordan as Cameron Johnson. I guess I had NBA on the mind, or maybe my brain is melting away. I was in pretty rough shape on Tuesday because I was running on 3 hours of sleep, and I was hoping to get like a cat nap in before the show because with Charlie, he wanted to start at 9:30, and if I'm lucky, I get the kids to bed at 8:30, and like I'm like, okay, maybe I can get a half hour of sleep and I'll be fine. And it didn't work out because my son learned that night. He happened to learn how to get out of his crib. My son just turned 3. So he got out of his crib 3 times. Like he was able to climb out. So we had to set up, a big, a quote unquote, big kid bed for him, which we did on Wednesday. And that turned out to be a nightmare too, because he kept getting out of it. Like he just like, and he was crying and stuff like that because it was a change. And like, yeah, actually, like, I was pretty upset about it myself because, like, my son, my first born, my son is growing up. So, it's like one of those, stepping stones, but yeah, I mean, like it was pretty rough with Charlie. Like I couldn't remember Lane Johnson's name for some reason. I had like the word Trey in my mind. I wanted to call him like Trey Johnson. I was just a mess that day. So I wanted to actually push that show. I wanted to advertise it on YouTube to like get the word out, because I feel like a lot of people don't know that we have a YouTube show. But it was not my best performance, unfortunately. So yeah. But and thanks for listening. I mean, like, Charlie was able to carry me. He's the best in the business for a reason, and he was able to do some great reporting from Indianapolis. Oh, he's still doing great reporting. The combine's still going on, so he's posting some great analysis on the site, and he had some gems today that I think you guys should check out. Although we're gonna get to them anyway. Did your son have the E-Trade set up in his crib? Well, I have his E-Trade account set up, so all he's doing is selling covered calls and cash secure. Not even cash secure puts, just covered calls. Like he and my daughter. And I wanted to like really emphasize how like impactful these covered calls are. So here's a good example. So my daughter throughout, like, she's 1.5, for like the birthday she's had, her birth, the 2 Christmases she's had, various other gifts, and plus the money I gave her. She started her account at $2,900. This is the end of August, so it's actually been exactly 6 months. The only stocks she's owned are GameStop. That's it. The GameStop stock she owns, I think her average price is like $26.50. GameStop right now is $24.50, and she has about 100 shares. No, she has 150 shares. Sorry. So you'd expect that being down $2 on 150 shares, you'd think that she'd be down 300, right? So she started with 2,900. She's down to 2,600. That's what you would expect, right? It's not true. Right now, her account's worth $3,700, like, just on covered calls. So she's down on her stock by $2, and yet she's up 800. Like, that's how good these covered calls are. I can't stress it enough. We're gonna do a show with Tom, and maybe Evan's gonna join us because he really wants to learn about that. So it's so awesome. I can't like believe I didn't know about it earlier. Like I heard about it. I didn't really know what it was, and then I did a lot of research on it last off season. I started doing it last March. That's been about a year now for me. It's just kind of like revolutionized my trading and stuff. It's like almost all of what I do now. It's just cover calls, and cash secure plus is kind of like the same thing. Like says, never mind E-Trade, practice punting the crib. Yeah, I know. I said this yesterday. My daughter, we had this football here. She threw it somewhere on the floor today. I think it's like right in front of my desk, but she throws the football like it's kind of like a half of a football. She throws it like 2 hands to me, and when I catch it, I go touchdown, and then like she goes touchdown, and like that was like her first word that was not mama or dada. It's like touchdown. So maybe she's gonna take over the side. I thought my son might do it, but maybe she will. Anyway, let's get back to these rumors here. So the Packers, they're open to trading Jair Alexander. I guess it's like a long time coming. I don't know. Like I'm sure Tom, you're a Packer fan. I'm sure you're not surprised about this. He's really talented, but he can't stay on the field. That's his big issue. And like someone that unreliable just can't have this. Can't have this on your team. So I imagine the Packers want to deal him for something good, and I don't know if they're going to get it unless like some team has not been paying attention to his injury history, or like maybe they think that they could turn it around with their training staff. I don't know. It just seems like they may not be able to get anything for him, or maybe they end up cutting him, or they just get like something minimal. I don't really see Jair Alexander going for much, but all it takes is one stupid team to do something. So I don't know. Maybe they will, and I could look foolish for this prediction, but I think if every other team is smart, then they won't trade much for him. All right, Texans. Stephon Diggs unlikely to return to the team. This can't be a surprise. I mean, he's an older player. He's coming off a torn ACL. And he's paid a lot of money. So I think that, or I mean, he was paid a lot of money, and now he's a free agent. So I don't really think that he's going to be back. We'll see. And I just don't know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. Like torn ACL, like receivers and running backs coming off torn ACLs, it's just so tough for them to have a bounce back year. It can happen. I mean, like obviously, Adrian Peterson had that legendary 2,000-yard rushing season coming off a torn ACL. Breece Hall was really good off a torn ACL. Those guys were young at the time. Stephon Diggs is in his 30s. I don't really see him having a good year. He may have to settle for the veteran minimum, and he may not be ready for the start of the season, so he could be on the pup list to start. And then the other receiver, of course, for the Texans, Tank Dell, just had that devastating knee injury. It's like he didn't even have his ACL surgery yet. He had have his like MCL, and I forget the other ligament. I don't know if it's LCL or PCL, but he had to have surgery on that, and then he had to have surgery on his ACL. So it's really rough for him. I don't even think he's going to play next year, unfortunately. Which, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he has a great bounce back that no one's expecting, but I just don't see it, unfortunately. The Raiders, okay, they are interested in Matthew Stafford. So there was news today that Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford met, and there was some speculation that they could be in trouble for tampering, but they're not going to be. The Raiders are not going to be because the Rams gave Stafford's agent permission to seek a trade. So this doesn't violate the tampering rule. So yeah, I feel like Stafford it makes a lot of sense for him to go to the Raiders, or really anyone. I don't know. I think I can't forget who said it. I think it was Kenny. I'm not sure if it was Kenny, but maybe it was Charlie. But it was, or I don't know. Maybe it was someone in the chat. Like I said, I'm running on no sleep here. But someone said that if the Rams are trading Stafford, then I would be overly concerned about them. Why are you giving this guy away when you were the closest team to beating the Eagles last year? And Stafford had a great game, or at least a great second half. In the snow, or at least fourth quarter. He was amazing in the fourth quarter. So it's why are the Rams trading him? Obviously, he's 37. He wants a lot of money, but still, the Rams, they're Andy's the pick to go to the Super Bowl. He really loves them. So they have a great team, and so why would they trade him? Because they have a chance to win the Super Bowl here. So. It's I don't know if I'm looking to trade for Stafford, I have concerns about that. Kind of reminds me of when the Eagles dealt Donovan McNabb to the Redskins, and the Redskins thought they had a good deal, but they didn't. I mean, the Eagles knew that McNabb was cooked at that point, and the Rams, they know Stafford better than anyone. They see him in practice all the time. Maybe they think he's done at this point, which is kind of hard to believe because he was so good in that playoff game. First of all, against the Vikings, he was terrific, and then in the fourth quarter against the Eagles, he was great. So it's I don't know. We'll see, but I think the Raiders definitely a strong possibility. He'll have Brock Bowers at his disposal. Jacoby Myers is good. They have a lot of work to do. They need a number one receiver. They need improvements on the offensive line. They need a running game. But at least they have good talent on the other side of the ball with the defensive line. They have Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Malcolm Kuntz coming back from injury. That defense was a disappointment last year, but they had so many injuries. Wilkins missed half the season. Kuntz was out for the entire season. Crosby was always banged up. It was just the stars didn't align for that defense. I think their defense will at least bounce back. I don't know about the rest of their team, but their defense should at least be better. All right, so next is the Patriots. So Chad Graff from The Athletic. I never heard of this guy, but he says the Patriots offseason plans do not include T. Higgins, which is kind of a surprise because the Patriots can pay T. Higgins more than anyone. They have the most cap space in the NFL. I think it's it's right here. It's 119 million. They have all the money in the world here. They have another team with a quarterback entering a second year. So, why would they not get T. Higgins? And Chad Graff is saying that they want to emphasize their offensive and defensive lines. Makes sense for the offensive line because you have to protect Drake May. And yeah, defensive line, they struggled to get to the quarterback last year. They traded Matthew Judon, so they didn't have him, and they need some reinforcements. Christian Barmore is out for most of the last season. So yeah, I get it, but at the same time, like, it feels like you can walk and chew gum at the same time. And like, why you can improve your offensive and defensive lines and sign T. Higgins? It doesn't seem like that difficult with 119 million in cap space. Like that's insane. That's like I think the cap space this year the cap this year is like 270 million. So like this is almost half of it. They don't have to pay Drake May for a while, so why not go after T. Higgins? Seems like a huge misstep by the Patriots. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what they're thinking here. Giants acquiring Matthew Stafford is firmly on the table by another athletic reporter, Dan Dugan. Yeah, I mean, Stafford going to the Giants makes sense. They have Malik Neighbors, so Stafford will enjoy that at least. Theo Johnson looked good last year. They're rookie tight end, so he's going to have more experience. He should be better. They have Tyron Tracy, who looked good as a rookie running back. The offensive line's an issue, but let's see how much cap space do the Giants have. They have 43 million, so they're right in the middle of the pack. So if they get Stafford, it's going to be pretty tough for them to make a lot of upgrades to the offensive line. Maybe they could do one, maybe sign like Brandon Sheriff or something, and then get Stafford, and suddenly the team wouldn't look that bad. They'll have the third pick in the draft, so if they sign Stafford, they're not going to go with a quarterback with that pick. So I would imagine, it's either Travis Hunter or they have a good edge rush. So it's kind of weird for Abdul Carter to go there. So probably they probably make the move on the cornerback, and Hunter could play receiver as well. So maybe he's their number 2 receiver or something. I don't know exactly how teams are going to use Travis Hunter. I imagine that every team has its own plan. Like, I mean, some teams might have the same plan, but you might have some teams saying like, "Oh, we're going to use him a corner," and some other teams like, "Oh, we think he's going to be a great receiver." I don't know. It's like that gave me some issues on how to rank him in fantasy. Like, where do you put him in the receiver rankings? You know what I mean? It's like that was like my biggest challenge for making the fantasy rankings, which we did yesterday, by the way. Like, Kenny, you can check out that show. Anto asking, do you believe the buzz about the Giants trying to move up to number 1? If so, Cam or Sanders? I read Campbell talking about Cam, but most New York insiders think it will be Sanders. So let me get right to that, actually, because these were the free agency rumors. We have some draft rumors I want to get to. And one of them actually answers what you were going to say. Actually, 2 of them answer what you're going to say. So we'll skip the first 2 teams for now. So these are the 2 rumors for the Giants. So as Jordan Renan from ESPN, I don't like ESPN, but Jordan Renan is a good reporter. He says the Giants have their sights set on Shedeur Sanders. So like you said, the media thinks that the Giants might like Sanders. However, Charlie says the Giants prefer Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders. However, here's the thing. The Giants are reportedly not smitten with either quarterback, but they like Ward over Sanders because of the greater upside. So Charlie's saying that the Giants actually don't like these quarterbacks that much. And I think that if I'm the Giants, I feel like I either make a play for Stafford, try to go all in this year, which I probably a mistake, or the best thing to do, I think, is to tank this year, try to get Arch Manning in 2026. He's like Arch Manning. If he were in this draft, like, he'd be the no question number 1 pick. The Titans would take him like without a second thought. I mean, like Peyton Manning played for Tennessee. You'd have Arch Manning going there. He's a much better prospect than these 2 guys. I do like both of these players. I think they will have good careers, but the Giants aren't crazy about them. So with this discrepancy, it's not like one reporter is wrong and one reporter is right. Like, Charlie's just talking to different people in the Giants organization that Jordan is. Like, that's what it comes down to. So, like, I don't know, like, who exactly they're talking to. Like, Charlie, for example, could be talking to, the VP of player personnel here, who likes Cam Ward better. But Jordan Renan might be talking to, like, the offensive coordinator, who likes Shedeur Sanders more. So there just could be a conflict. And that you saw that sort of thing when the Panthers they traded up with the Bears to get the number 1 pick for Bryce Young. Initially, everyone thought that Bryce Young was going to be the pick in the mocks. And I heard it's going to be CJ Stroud. I heard this from one of their coaches, and I heard that like the coaching staff loved CJ Stroud, and when they moved up, they thought they were going to get Stroud because all the coaches love Stroud. But then you heard what really happened was the owner pushed for Bryce Young, and the GM as well, but the owner was really behind the Bryce Young move. So you can have like differing opinions in an organization, but so it really depends on how high up these guys like Charlie and Jordan are talking to. I know like Charlie talks to everyone. It's insane. Like he'll I don't know if I shared the story before, but it's in my first book. I don't know if I included the name, so I'm not going to say who it was. But in my first book, which was a safety and a field goal, it's like a top 5 list of NFL things. I needed a quote for something that happened in the 1999 NFL draft because I was only 16 at that point, just prior to my 17th birthday. So, I was just a kid then. I didn't even run this website yet. I set up my website in October of 99. So this was about a half a year before I set up this website. But I do remember the 99 draft. Obviously, that was McNabb, and the fans booed the pick. They didn't boo McNabb; they booed the pick because they wanted Ricky Williams. So that turned out. But I needed a quote about the quarterbacks in '99 because I didn't remember it. And so I asked Charlie. I'm like, "Hey, do you know anyone who was like in the front office, like a high-ranking front office person during the '99 NFL draft?" And Charlie was like, "Okay, I'll get back to you." 2 hours, like no joke, 2 hours later, someone, you guys will know the name. I don't want to out him, but so this guy emailed me, and it's like, hey, I was a GM in 1999 for this team. He's like, Charlie said you had questions about the '99 draft. He's like, how can I help you? I was like, this is like 2 hours later. I was like, holy crap! Like Charlie just came through for me. I didn't expect like it that day. it was crazy. So I got a good quote for that book. Again, I don't want to mention I don't want to like out any of Charlie's sources, but that was pretty cool. So yeah, like I'm not like saying Jordan Renan has bad sources. Like I said, Jordan Renan's a good reporter, but Charlie, I trust Charlie more than anyone. So I think if something is true, then it's probably from Charlie. And I would think that they like Ward more than Sanders, but they're not crazy about either, which kind of makes sense, I'd say thank you for your response. There's nothing more Giants than not being sure of either and still trading to one because your GM, he only has one more bullet. Yeah, that's true. it's a good point. So, hopefully they don't make a panic move or anything like that. That's the worst thing you could ever do is make a panic move. You see it all the time. Like teams always suffer for it. So, yeah, I think like I said, I think the right moves to tank this year. Like whatever the Giants do, they're not going to be better than the Eagles or Redskins at this point. Like I don't. If they had as much money as the Patriots, maybe. But with 43 million, they could be better next year. Like if they got Stafford, I think they could push for a playoff spot, and maybe they even win the playoff game. But I just don't see them winning a Super Bowl. They just have so many holes at this point. So. Yeah, I think that going to the bottom is better than like trying to go to the top and like praying that your opponents in the playoffs get a lot of injuries so you can like sneak by. So anyway, let's get to these other rumors here. So nothing on the Titans. I mentioned this with Charlie on Tuesday. I didn't feel the need to post it here, but the Titans said that I think their GM said that they've received calls for the pick, but it was too early to make a decision. And I kind of joked, I'm like, if some team was like, hey, we'll give you 5 first-round picks and a Pro Bowler for your number 1 pick, is the Titans GM going to be like, it's too early in the process to make a decision? It's like, no, it means you haven't had a good trade offer yet. So that's the only thing for Tennessee right now. I think they're going to sign Aaron Rodgers. That's my guess. I can see Rodgers going to the Rams as well if Stafford leaves. But like Rodgers to Tennessee makes so much sense because he's friends with multiple people in the front office and he has a home in Nashville. So I feel like it's not a good team, but his options are pretty limited. So I think that is the most likely landing spot for him. And if that happens, I think the Titans take Abdul Carter. They gave Harold Landry permission to seek a trade. So I think you'll see that if they can't trade down, of course. So they're going to try to trade down. If they can't trade down, if they don't have a good offer, then I think they're going to take Abdul Carter, which Charlie has in his mock draft. If they don't get Rodgers or Darnold or anything like that, then I think they might talk themselves into a quarterback. So right now I have Tennessee taking Cam Ward, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Well, it'll be an interesting 2 months. We're actually 3 days past the 2 month 2 month threshold for the NFL draft, which is the NFL draft's on April 24th. All right, for the Browns, speaking of quarterbacks, Adam Schefter says it's confident sentiment that the Browns will draft a quarterback at number 2 overall, and he just says logic dictates that. So I don't know if he's like directly reporting this or if he knows something and he just wants to be coy about it. You just never know with Schefter, but this makes so much sense. Like, it makes so much more sense for the Browns to take a quarterback because they really have nothing at the position. Like, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the only quarterback on the roster right now. Healthy quarterback, I should say. Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles, so he's not going to play next year, or at least not going to play for most of the year. So yeah, and plus Deshaun Watson sucks. Like, they have to move on from him. I think they take a quarterback. We don't know which quarterback yet. I think I would put Cam Ward there if he's available, but I think they would happily take Shedeur Sanders as well. They just have to go in a different direction. They have to start over from this like Deshaun Watson nonsense, or they could go the other way and sign Justin Tucker and have like a team full of weird people with massages. All right, so number 4, Patriots. We talked about how they're not interested in T. Higgins for some reason. Their options, as Charlie is reporting, at number 4, it's between Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Will Campbell. During the Senior Bowl, Charlie, I probably should put this as well. Charlie reported that the Patriots really like Abdul Carter. So I think that Carter would actually be the favorite. If somehow, I don't see how this is possible, but if both Hunter and Carter are available at number 4, I feel like one of them is going to go in the top 3. But say if the 2 quarterbacks go and like the third team, the Giants, I don't even know why they passed to Travis Hunter, but like if for some reason they hated him and they're like, we have a great edge rush and we really need a tackle, and they take Will Campbell, which I think that would be a big mistake because those 2 other guys are so good. If both guys are available, I think they go Carter just based on Charlie's reporting. But Charlie's saying that if Carter and Hunter are both off the board, which is very possible, that the Patriots would go Will Campbell, which kind of jives with what I was talking about earlier, where the Patriots really wanted to upgrade their offensive line. Which, it's kind of like, hey, why not just sign T. Higgins and then upgrade your offensive line in the draft? Because this draft class is pretty good with the offensive line. So I don't quite understand what the Patriots are doing, but I guess, I don't know, maybe they have this grand plan that we're just not seeing right now. All right, so the Raiders, we talked about how Stafford could go there. Charlie's reporting that the Raiders love Ashton Genty and Tetaroa McMillan. The Charlie sources told him that the Raiders, that they view Genty as a better version of Josh Jacobs, who obviously, he had some great years with the Raiders. But they're not sure if the higher ups, so Charlie's not talking to Tom Brady here. He's not sure if Brady and Spytech are going to draft a running back at 6 overall. That's the question, because Genty is going to be the best player on the board. Assuming Hunter and Carter are both gone, if maybe one falls due to like a weird injury that happens in the next 2 months, or like some unforeseen like weird allegation that comes out against them, like they're both going to be gone. So Genty is going to be the best player on the board at number 6. But like, do you take a running back at 6? Like that's the age-old question here. Some like no running back in the first round purists will like we'll say like you never should take a running back. My cousin, who's he's not like a diehard football fan, but like he does pay attention a lot. Whenever I talk to him about the draft or like mention a running back, he'd be like, I would never take a running back in the first round. Never. No questions asked. I'm like, okay, what about if like Christian McCaffrey is available and you have the 32nd pick? He's like, no, never. It's like like purists like never take a running back in the first round ever. And like I've heard that sentiment before, and it makes sense because you can get running backs whenever in the 2nd round, 3rd round. You can get good undrafted free agent running backs. Like Arian Foster was undrafted. You see it all the time. Like hey, guy in the 6th round, 7th round, like he turned out to be a good running back. Like yeah, that happens more at running back than any other like regular position. I'm not talking about like kicker or punter, but so it's like, so why take a running back the first round? I personally think if you get an elite player, like elite, like top 1%, like Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, I think that it makes sense to take a running back in the first round. But if you're getting like a good player, even like a great player, I don't know if you take them in the first round. They have to be like elites, like at the very top. I don't know if Ashton Genty's there. Like I think he's Charlie agreed with this. Like he said that Genty is like the next tier below those guys. So if we're talking like, and keep in mind this is a weaker draft class at the top. It's good with depth, really good depth, but at the very top it's pretty lacking, and some teams even have only like 12 or 13 first round prospects. So if all your first round prospects are gone, and for example you're drafting at like 18, 19, 20, then like yeah, it makes sense to take Genty here. Even though I don't like running backs in the first round, because like, are you going to pass on Genty, like a great running back, in favor of like a mediocre guy who's a second round talent? Like that just doesn't make sense, because like the argument is that you can get a running back in the second round, but you're passing on a first round caliber running back to take a second round player. It just doesn't make sense. But it's six is kind of tough. So I feel like if the Raiders want to take Genty, they could maybe trade down. I don't know who would be moving up for what. Of course, like it takes two to tango. You have to find someone to move up. I feel like fans always want their team to move down, and like it's like, yeah, but find a trading partner. It's kind of harder than it seems. So if it's not Genty, maybe it's Teteroa McMillan, who's the top receiver in this class. I think someone pointed out yesterday or the day before that that the Rams, or Mel Kiper has the Rams taking McMillan in the 20s, and I find that hard to believe that he's going to drop that far. But I don't know. Maybe people aren't as high on him as I am. I think he's phenomenal. I think he belongs in the top 10. And the Raiders need a number one receiver. So I mean, either makes sense. We'll see what Brady and Spytek think. And of course, like it's up to Brady. He did win a Super Bowl with was it Troy Brown and David Patton as his top two receivers. So maybe he kind of knows that like you don't need an elite receiver. Although it is different in this day and age with the passing offense. Also. I guess this should be in the free agency, so apologies for this. Raiders staff want their team to sign Sam Darnold. I mean, look, like if you can't get Stafford, he's the best option on the free agent market. But at the same time, you're not going to get Kevin O'Connell with him. So I don't know if Darnold is going to be as good as he was last year. He's not going to have Justin Jefferson. I do like, obviously Brock Bowers is terrific, but as far as wide receivers, like there's no Jefferson. There's not even Jordan Addison on the Raiders. So I like Jacoby Myers, but he's a true number two, and they don't have a number one. So I think Darnold could decline from last year. I don't really see it. NoHo Hank did awesome at the combine today. Yeah, there's some really good performers. James Pierce ran a 4.47. That was kind of like saved his draft stock, because he's been tanking like with his off the field concerns. So it was pretty cool to see that. Judkins looks like a first round running back to me. Yeah, I could see him going in the 20s in this class, just because it's pretty weak. I think that normally he would be in the second round, like the top half of the second round. I'm going 33 to Cleveland. But given the lack of talent in the first round, I think that he could definitely go in the first round. So yeah, you could be onto something there. All right, let's get going here. Then we don't have a lot of rumors here, but we're almost certainly going to have something for every team here. Indianapolis, they really like Tyler Booker. Charlie talked about this on Tuesday. The Colts love his obviously his talent, but not just that, like his leadership skills and whatnot. Just a clean player. And what they really envision is having the best guard tandem in the NFL, Quentin Nelson and Tyler Booker together. Their other guard, Will Fries, I don't know if it's like Freese or Fries. He's an impending free agent, so he may not return. Ryan Kelly's also a free agent, so they'd have to resign him. So I know they signed, or they drafted Tanner Bortolini last draft, but they'd view him as their center more so than a guard. So if they don't sign Fries or Freeze, they'll be able to draft Tyler Booker at 14, assuming he's available. I'm going 10 to Chicago, but I think I'm going to put Kelvin Banks there instead. So Booker could be available at 14. Yeah, I mean that is an Indianapolis pick. Like they have taken guards early. Quentin Nelson, for example. So, and plus we saw Brandon Sheriff go number 5 overall to the Redskins. So if a guard can go 5 overall, then the Booker can certainly go 14 overall. So that makes a lot of sense. I think Booker is going to go in the top half of this draft because, as I said before, there's no like top level talent. So like the best guard in the draft, the best pure guard is going to be elevated. So this is for Atlanta and Tampa Bay. The Falcons and Buccaneers really like Jihad Campbell, who he had a great combine performance today, so that'll help. So the Falcons and Buccaneers both need linebackers, especially Tampa, because Levante David is, I believe, he's 34, 35. He's a free agent, but I mean, if he comes back, he's going to come back to Tampa. But they don't know if he's going to retire or not. He hasn't answered that yet. They missed Devin White. Outside of David last year, they had a really poor linebacking core. You could tell, like, whenever they went against good tight ends, they just got torched all the time. I think except for the Chiefs, they had the worst tight end defense in the NFL. So they couldn't cover the middle of the field at all, and that's something that they really need. Charlie noted that he's not sure if either of these teams would draft off-ball linebackers in the first round, but he did note that Tampa has a history of doing that. So we'll see. I think Jihad Campbell makes a lot of sense for the Buccaneers at 19. Atlanta 2 at 15. I do think Atlanta goes edge rush, but if they went Campbell, that wouldn't surprise me either. I mentioned Arizona yesterday. I didn't put this in, but I got word that they're looking at tackles. Well, first of all, Arizona wants to trade down. They have only 6 picks. And they're one of the teams I know they view as like they don't have much like respect for the top of this class. They think it's pretty weak. I think like 12 or 13 first round prospects is what I heard from them. So at 16, they're not guaranteed to get one of them. Now, if like one of them falls to them, they're going to take that player. But I think they do want to trade down to like the 25 range or so. Like I said, it takes 2 to tango, but at 16 it's easier to trade down because you don't have to give up as much to move up. So they could trade down, and if they do, I heard, this is weird, I heard that they like a tackle, which I was like, I don't quite understand that because they had really good tackle play last year. Of course, they Paris Johnson they drafted a couple years ago, and then Jonah Williams who played really well last year. And Jonah Williams is like Kenny was. I talked to Kenny off air about this, and he's like, "Isn't Jonah Williams like 35?" And like no, he was like, it seems like he's been in the NFL forever for some reason. He's only like 27 or 28. So I don't understand that completely. Maybe they want to move one of them to guard. I don't know why they would go tackle, but I mean that's what I've been told. So I think they trade down. Defensive line makes a lot of sense too. Like if I don't see why Kenneth Grant would be here, but like if he's there, then I think that the Cardinals take him. But yeah, I do think that they will try to trade down at the very least. I think this is our last one. Yeah, this is our last one. Seattle. Seattle likes Calvin Banks. They had, and I think Slew brought this up when we did our show on Tuesday. Seattle, they really need offensive linemen, and so they could take one in the second round. But I think if Kelvin Banks is available, like that would be way too good to pass up. He's really talented. I am going 11. Charlie has him going 10, so he's going to go. I assume he's in that range. But if he falls, and guys fall all the time to Seattle at number 18, I think that it sounds like they wouldn't pass up on him at all. And their interior line last year, Seattle and Miami, they had the worst center guard tandems in the NFL. Like they couldn't block. Neither team could block in the interior. It was just so bad. So if Seattle can get a premium guy in the interior, like Kelvin Banks play tackle and guard, they could start him at guard, maybe move him to right tackle eventually. But that would be a huge boon for their offensive line. So that makes a lot of sense. I think I wouldn't surprise me either if Seattle drafted a quarterback early. I don't know if they're going to do it in the first round. They could. I think. Like right now, there are 2 quarterbacks in almost every mock draft. If they went after a quarterback at 18, or if they traded down and took one in like the 20s, wouldn't surprise me at all. Because Geno Smith is getting up there in age. They have a new regime, and not with GM, but with the coaching staff. So I think that quarterback wouldn't surprise me. Just don't be surprised if they go quarterback. But like I said, or like Charlie said, Kelvin Banks is there. Sounds like they're going to like him a lot, and maybe take him. Spheromancer asking, who are your most likely top 10 trade downs? So we can go team by team here. Let me pull up my mock draft and like talk about it. So, I mean, obviously Tennessee, like what we said before, Tennessee wants to trade down. And I don't know if who's going to trade up for number one. Maybe the Jets. You know, the Jets are so desperate for a quarterback. Maybe they make the move to one. I don't know if they have the ammunition to do it, but if they, maybe they do. I don't know. But Tennessee is like Tennessee wants to trade down. I don't know if they're going to be able to. So number two, Cleveland. I think they stay in place. As Schefter pointed out, they go quarterback in all likelihood. So I don't see them trading down. Giants, I don't think they trade down either. Three, I think they take either a quarterback if they fall in love with one of the guys, or they'll get their one of the two, Hunter or Carter, who's not taken by Tennessee, or they get their choice of either. So Giants not trading down. For Patriots, if Carter and Hunter are off the board, I think they're a prime target to trade down. So if Hunter and Carter are off the board, that means one of the quarterbacks is available here because there's only 3 spots ahead of them. So you're going to have the Patriots sitting here at 4 with either Sanders or Ward available. And so all these teams that need quarterbacks below them, I think they could trade up. Like not Jacksonville, obviously, but the Raiders. The Raiders, if they don't sign Sam Darnold or Stafford or trade for Stafford, they're not going to have anything quarterback. So it's only 2 spots. Like it's not going to be that expensive to move up. And the Patriots can get Will Campbell at 6, so it just makes perfect sense. This Patriots Raiders trade, the Jets at 7. Now, if the problem is that the Jets are in the Patriots division, so I don't really see this trade happening. But hypothetically, like if they were in different divisions, they didn't hate each other. I think that trade would make sense as well. And then Saints at 9. Saints have Derek Carr. He's super mediocre. They have a new head coach. So I think that they may pursue a quarterback, less likely than the Raiders and Jets, but you can't count them out. So if the Saints are, willing to make a move, then that makes sense. And one other team that's not in this picture, I think that you can maybe see something like what the Eagles did in 2016. The Eagles, I think, had the 16th pick or 15th pick heading into the offseason. What they did, they traded up, I forget to where, maybe it was like 9 or 10 or 11, and then they traded up again to number 2. So the Steelers right now at 21, maybe they make 2 moves because they're really desperate for a quarterback, and if they love these guys, then maybe they make a double move like the Eagles did and move up. So I think the four Patriots is a real hot spot to trade down. Likewise, Jacksonville at 5. If the Patriots can't make a move to move down, or if they have, if they get one of Carter or Hunter, which, you would expect both quarterbacks to be gone. But at that point, if one of the quarterbacks is available for 5 at Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville could trade down. The Raiders and Jaguars could easily swap. There's no animosity between them. It won't cost the Raiders a lot to move up 1 spot, so that they can make that move. The Jets, they have no issues with the Jaguars, so they could, outside of Jacksonville taking Trevor Lawrence away from them 4 years ago, they could make the move up there. And the Saints are more likely to make this move too, because 9-5 is not as bad as 9-4, and they, I think that they could do that without being hurt too much. So you're looking at Patriots and Jaguars, I think, is the 2 most likely to trade down. I don't think both trade down. I think it's one or the other. If one of the quarterbacks is available, I think that's key. Raiders. So the Raiders, if they sign Darnold or trade for Stafford, they could trade down too. Because if they like Genti a lot, like maybe they just don't want to take him at 6. Maybe they're like, okay, we could take him at like 10, or 9 or 11 or whatever. Like maybe the Niners move up, or maybe the Bears or the Saints move up for someone that they really want. Like if Mason Graham falls to 6, and the Niners, the Niners love the defensive lineman. If the Niners are like, wait, we can move up only 5 spots to get Mason Graham, like that's a huge game changer. And so maybe the Raiders move from 6 to 11 and get Gentry or Tetero McMillan. They could probably get one of them at 11. So I think the Raiders could trade down. Jets, I think it's more likely that they trade up for a quarterback than move down, but they could make a move down. I don't know, like why. I think it makes more sense to them to stay put and get the best player available because they have a lot of needs. I have them taking Mason Graham to replace Sean Franklin Myers, who's really missed last year, as Scott Mason, who runs PlayLikeAJet.com. He pointed that out last Tuesday that Franklin Myers was really missed. He's right. Like, it's something I forgot too, that they lost Franklin Myers, and like he was sorely missed. So Graham could be a really good replacement. Panthers, yeah, they could trade down. Like, any of these teams could trade down. Like, really, like Panthers, Saints, and Bears. Only of these three, only the Saints need a quarterback, and it's not like a super pressing need because, like, at least they have Derek Carr. Like, it's not like they're the Jets and like they're staring at Tyrod Taylor starting for them, or like the Giants. And the Giants right now, who is on their roster quarterback right now? It's the only quarterback they have on the roster right now is Tommy DeVito. So the Giants sorely need a quarterback. So yeah, you have the Jets, you have the Raiders, only with Aiden O'Connell. Like, these dreadful teams are like in a much worse spot than the Saints. Like, the Saints could at least like bide their time with Derek Carr. I don't think it's likely that they're that good next year, so they could be positioned to get Arch Manning. And that's another connection. You have Arch Manning connection to the Giants because Eli played there. You have the Arch Manning connection to Tennessee because Peyton Manning played there in college. And you have the connection to New Orleans because that's where his grandfather played, Archie Manning. So he played for the Saints. So that would be pretty cool if the Saints were the team to get Arch Manning or something. Yeah, the Saints are not in a rush to get a quarterback, especially with like 54 million over the cap or whatever it is. I think it's like 35 or something. Yeah, 54 million over the cap, which is a disaster. Even if like a quarterback in his rookie deal, like, they're not going to be able to sign a lot of players. I think what they really should do is just implode the whole thing, have the worst record, get rid of all this cap like nonsense that they keep kicking down the road. And like maybe in a year or two, with like Arch Manning enter his second year in 2027, like by then they'll have all that cap space cleared, and they could really like start over and like really add a lot of talent to the roster. So that's what I would do for the Saints. But the Saints are like the Federal Reserve; they're just going to keep kicking the can down the road. So it's not going to end well for them, and it's not going well for them either right now. So to answer your question fully, I think Spheromancer, I think the most likely teams to trade down are either the Patriots or the Jaguars. But like I said, there are a few other teams that could trade down as well. I guess that's about it. I mean, that's all the rumors I had. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We have combine coverage on the site, WalterFootball.com. I have stock reports for the defensive tackles and defensive ends. Right now, I have to work on the linebackers. I didn't really get to watch all the linebackers quite yet because my son was going to bed. I had to put him to bed, so I watched like half of the linebackers so far. So I'll have that right up soon. I don't have that. Actually, don't have. It's probably like 3/4 that I watched. So it's not too much. So I'll probably be able to get it up in like an hour. But anyway, we're gonna have like the combine coverage tomorrow. Tomorrow's defensive backs and tight ends. So tons of coverage then, and Charlie's going to be posting more articles and stuff. So check out WalterFootball.com, and please like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. Like I said earlier, we have a ton of new merch on the site, and we're going to keep adding. So check back from time to time. And we're going to be back on Saturday with Tom, as he said that he has new material and stuff. So looking forward to that. Have a great start of your weekend, and I will talk to you on Saturday.